smaller and smaller, will the vibration levels go up or will it decrease in terms of frequency? Can anybody answer that? Hello? Hello? The smaller the size of the machine tool, you got a lathe, you must have seen a workshop. You got a milling machine, you got a grinding machine. Now I make it smaller. Now will the vibration go up or will the vibration go down? Just think about it for a few minutes. No need of any mathematics. Just think about it. See, don't worry about the mathematics, don't worry about the electrical, electronics, all those working and all. Just plain physics. If the size of the machine tool, which is vibrating in a work, any garage you take, big machines are there, medium size, small size. Now I reduce the size. Will the vibration increase or decrease?
Increase, sir.
Increase. Why does it increase? Why does it increase?
Smaller size vibrates more.
Yeah, because it's smaller in size, it is lighter. So you get higher vibration. That F is equal to 2 pi root K by M is the mathematics for that. K is your stiffness, M is the mass of the material, 2 pi constants, K is the stiffness, material remaining same, the mass becomes lower, frequency becomes higher. So from the physics, if you think, you get the answer. From the mathematics also, you have got the answer. So if you want components to vibrate at a faster rate, you make it smaller. If you want components to vibrate at a smaller rate, then you make it larger. But related to the life of the equipment, if it reaches resonance, the larger the component reaches resonance natural frequency faster, its life will be over. So that is the essence of MEMS. So these are the basic advantages. When you make things smaller, what do you gain from that? So this is what you have gained. You can have small turbines operating at 1 lakh, 2 lakh RPM. You can't have very big turbines operating at that speed. Our electrical motor generator set, you can't have lakhs of RPM, thousands of RPM to 1000, 2000. Like that only you can have, because it reach a natural frequency, it may break. So if you lower the size, its failure chances are lesser. So like that, different advantages come from the physics. So these are the basic things why people were talking about MEMS. So but what happens to the properties when you bring down the size is what we are going to see. Okay, same material, you're bringing down the size. What happens then? Okay, that's what we have to see. One more thing I'd like to tell you. Suppose you have got metallic oxides you're using for some purpose, for thermal conductivity, with some water you're mixing it for some purpose, lubrication and all. You got micro-sized particles. You dip them in water, stir it in a bath, ultrasonic bath, very high vibration, and then it becomes a suspension using it. Now we reduce the size of the powder from micro to nano. Okay, then what happens? The properties improve. The thermal properties, the conductivity improves, heat transfer, heat exchange properties improve. Maybe lubrication also may improve. We can increase the viscosity by adding more of that amount. Fine. All properties improving when you bring the same particle in the water to nano size, the properties of the nano oxide improves. But what is the effect of that? That we're not going to discuss in this, because that's a totally different technology. But when you make it nano, the particles, it is written clearly in the bottle containing the oxide, like magnesium oxide, copper oxide, titanium oxide, that it is toxic. So you just see what happens by reducing the size from micro or even small powders, which you can see with your eyes, reducing it to nano size, automatically, not automatically, the properties are such that it becomes toxic. Though it improves the properties, it gives a side effect. It's like you're taking that vaccine. Vaccine is good to remove the virus. But what happens inside the human body? Because you don't have natural immunity, that vaccine may develop side effect because introducing artificially. Had we had antibodies naturally imbibed in us, we don't need a vaccine. So this is what happens. This is what is technology. Smaller the size, fine. But side effects will be there. So what are the effects which are predominant? What are the forces which are predominant? What will be less? What will be more? That we'll just see in the few slides. Before that, we'll introduce you to the syllabus. Okay. I'll share the screen now. Just tell me if you're Able to see the screen? Can you see the screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So this slides, I'll send it to you by the mail. You must have received by mail. I'll send it to you. And if capacity is less, we'll put it in your VTOP. So when we talk of MEMS, what does it mean? It is micro electromechanical system. So from the abbreviation itself, we are able to understand something like TIG welding. What is TIG welding? Tungsten inert gas. So I don't need to memorize too much about TIG because I know tungsten got a very high melting point. Inert gas means like carbon dioxide, helium, argon, inert gases. In that medium, I'm going to weld it. Tungsten will not melt, but the parent material welds, or a separate electrode you have. Gas means I'm using argon, helium, very costly, so I go in for carbon dioxide, somewhat inert it is. So from the name itself, I get an idea of the system from which I can build up, see the sketches, and then think of any component which I want to weld. So that is how we have to understand. It makes life easier. So micro electromechanical system. So first thing is micro. That means the size of the component, the sensor, or the actuator. We need a sensor to sense, but we need to move something. No, limbs have to move, our hands and legs have to move. So it is actuation, movement, and then something is going to happen. Some mechanical action will take place. So size is in microns, few mm to 1 mm to a micron. The size is lesser than a micron, it is no longer a microsystem. Electro means it is operated by an electrical power source. It cannot operate on its own. It's like a passive power source. Mechanical system means output is mechanical. Always remember, when you talk of MEMS, when you talk of NEMS or MOEMs, when we say micro electromechanical system, output has to be mechanical. What's the meaning of mechanical? Can anybody tell me? Mechanical people are there, electronics people are also there. Can anybody tell me what's the meaning of mechanical in a simple way? Hello? Hello? What do you understand by mechanical system? Hello?
Yes, sir, we are able to hear you.
What is a mechanical system? Just want to know. What is a mechanical system? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by a mechanical system? Micro is small, more than a micron, between an mm and a micron. Electro is electrical. What's a mechanical system?
Sir, where we use machines and there's machinery involved.
Okay. Well, no, in a simple way, can we make life more simple? When we say a mechanical system, I give an
Set of
input.
physical components.
Okay.
Work is done by the system.
Output is motion. Yeah, correct. All of you have come to the same point. Output, there should be a movement, there should be a motion. Remember that when you talk of mechanical system, there should be an output motion. When we talk of a system which is structural but not moving, there's no longer a mechanical system. So when I give an input, whether electrical or mechanical or whatever input I give, a chemical input, biological input, output should be mechanical. That means it should move. Anything which moves is a mechanical system. It may be liquid, it may be gas, it may be a structure, solid element, it may be a flexible element. So always when we talk of mechanical, output should be motion. If it's not so, it's not a mechanical system. Okay. So we're talking of sizes. So what is the size of a hair? Is around average size of a hair is 100 microns. Okay. Average size, when you talk of size of the hair, please remember in engineering, when you talk of size, length is okay, but it's the basic cross section which matters for any component. So the cross section means if I cut the hair across its lateral face, I see the size will be 100 microns. Length may be quite large. Length is not micro, but the hair size will be around 100 micron. That is 1 micron is 1/10 of a human hair. So now if I ask you another question, all questions are simple. See, we make life simple. Okay. Always remember, in macro level systems in manufacturing technology, thermal, wherever, especially manufacturing, people used to tell the dimensions are in mm, few mm, 100 mm, 20 mm, 25 mm, 300 mm. Whether it comes to centimeters or meters, they always say all dimensions are in mm. In your drawing sheet, it's written clearly, all dimensions are in mm. In your CAD lab, all dimensions in mm, machine drawing also. But in MEMS, when you talk of micro level systems, the size is in microns, but the packaging may be in mm. You can't have packaging also in microns, right? The sensor may be microns, the accelerometer may be micron, but the airbag and the packaging around it will be a few mm. So always we should talk of microns. The basic sensor is in microns, few microns, but the overall packaging may be in a few mm. So 1 mm is equal to how many microns? See, all mm should be converted to microns. So just can you do a fast conversion in your mind? 1 mm is equal to how many microns? Just for conversion, so that you always remember microns in your mind when you talk of MEMS. 10 to the power of -6 meters. Fine. That is difficult to remember. But if I say 1 mm is how many microns, it's easier to remember. 10 to the -6 meters is okay. How will I remember? 1 mm is how many microns? Can you do a fast calculation and tell me? I'll wait for 2-3 minutes. Don't break your head too much. Simple way. Make life simple. Because everything I want to have in microns. I don't want it in mm. So 1 mm will be how many microns? In a simple way. 1,000 microns. Yes. So that's easier to remember. Yeah, it's easier to remember. Okay. So 10 to the -6 meters is 1 micron. So 1 mm is 1,000 micron. So like that, if you remember, it makes life easy. Always your dimension should be in microns. Okay. So now what are the different applications in which we have MEMS? All see, basically mechanical systems, definitely MEMS can be used. Electronics, it can be used. Biomedical, it can be used. Chemical, it can be used. Optical, it can be used. Thermal, it can be used. Radiation, it can be used. Fluid flow, it can be used. Gas sensing, it can be used. You name a domain, all domains, you can use MEMS. That is the advantage of learning MEMS. So you learn about microsensors, which can be used in all sound, vibration, everywhere you can use it, inertia sensing. Okay, and actuators are the output of sensing. You just sense it and leave it like that. What's the use? No decision making. I'm climbing up a hill. Okay, one very cold winter morning, by not manually, by car. And oxygen content goes down. So I try to drive up and try to somehow manage to start the vehicle and drive. And my oxygen sensor shows very low content of oxygen in the air. I just say nothing will happen. Why bother about it? I just sense it. If I start, well, sometime I'll find the vehicle will be off. I have to apply the brakes and be going in the reverse direction. So unless I sense the amount of oxygen and then allow the mixture to be rich mixture to be lean, so that more amount of oxygen can come into my along with my fuel and combustion takes place, then the thing burns, then I can go up. So unless I take that actuating action, that action to introduce either more oxygen or less oxygen depending on the condition, what is the use of sensing if no decision is done? Have fever, antibiotic has to be given. They have fever, okay, fine, go home. So that actuation is your pumping in, that actuation, that movement. There's always a mechanical movement because of the sensing. That results in positive action. Always it should be positive, not negative action. Okay, then computer storage systems, these older type things, inkjet printer heads, all these things are the advantages of MEMS. And one good advantage of microfluidic devices using liquids is that nowadays we don't have that many inkjet printers or laser printers have come. But suppose you're still using inkjet printers. So you have very less ink in the toner. So now less ink I have, so I must increase the size of the droplet, the ink droplet. So I pass sound through it, acoustic waves, and it will expand the drops. Even if there's less amount of ink, it will expand it and you'll get a brighter print. Suppose it is too much thick, the ink is very thick, excessive drop, so that it is creating a blotting like thing on your print. So I have to reduce the size of the droplet. So I can pass sound, I can compress the size of the droplet using acoustics. So in MEMS, the acoustic waves are not used to measure anything related to sound. Apart from that, for transduction, for converting from one form to another form or some other application, They are not used for measurement of sound. Whereas acoustic sensors in macro level instrumentation technology, they are used for measurement of sound and all that. Okay, so that's the advantage of microfluidic. So we have small sizes, palm top. You have heard of small size aircrafts, bird-like aircrafts, automatically guided vehicles which can go through the orifices in the walls and to look at the cracks. They can even listen to, suppose some bee like, very small bee like robots or bots are there. They can just pass under your door or window and listen to your conversation. Spying robots, all that can be done. Surgical are there, all small sizes are possible. Okay, so this is the biggest advantage of that. I'm also trying to work on a micro light aircraft, trying to do that. Mini robots are there, micro robots are there. Okay, so advantage is this, that you have the size as low as possible, maneuverability is better, you can get more information, you can get more sensing, better sensing, accurate, whatever properties I want can be enhanced. Okay, so that is the advantage of MEMS. Smaller in size and sensing is better sensing with small size. That's the advantage. Better life maybe, and use and throw. So if I have use and throw sensors, it is good than carrying big sensors. I can't afford to just throw it off. So this is what is why people thought of reducing it. So the gentleman, always we have to have some history. History makes life interesting. So there was a professor physicist called Richard Feynman, who gave a lecture on this MEMS. He was coined the word MEMS and he talked of the miniaturization. He was the pioneer in that. He predicted ahead. In 1959, he talked about it. 1980s, they discovered MEMS and nanotechnology. Like Jules Verne predicted that 20,000 leagues under the sea and Journey to the Center of the Earth or Journey to the Moon. Those two novels he wrote, 200 years later, the things actually happened. We had submarines, we had people landing on the moon. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. So these people, though they wrote novels, they like fiction, but it took place later. Okay, so these people were the pioneers in thinking. Leonardo da Vinci also was, he thought of flying vehicles, and finally you had aircraft and all like that. Okay, so this video, if you see, it will be very interesting. There's plenty of room at the bottom, an invitation to enter a new field of physics. 1959 in California Institute of Technology, Caltech, Richard Feynman gave this lecture. So what he did is, can we use atoms instead of the material thicknesses or the big size structures? Can we use atoms as a more powerful form of synthetic chemistry than the big materials or the big structures? So can you manipulate atoms? Can you manipulate molecules? It becomes nanotechnology. Okay. So what are the advantages of miniaturization? I hope you can see it. Even if you are not able to see the slide, you can understand. Smaller system, what will be dominant? Inertia will not be dominant. Dynamics will be dominant. Inertia means laziness. What is inertia? The capacity to do more work. That means the person is lazy. I mean, he has a lot of capacity in him to do work. He can do it later. So larger structures have inertia. They can do the work later. Smaller systems tend to move faster because size is small, in low inertia. So heat problems will be less, vibration will be more, so distortion will be less. Bigger objects vibrate, they may distort. They may not come back to the original shape. Okay, biomedical, aerospace. The smaller the size, I can carry it everywhere. I can store it everywhere easily. Stability will be more because thermal expansion will be low. Space is again less. Yes, naturally size is less, space is less. In aircraft, you say 35 kg. In 40 kg, I think, in trains and all that. Beyond that, we cannot carry. You have to pay a fine unnecessarily. So if you can reduce the size, but can you reduce size of everything? You cannot. Everything cannot be reduced. Your luggage you carry with you, can you reduce the size? We cannot do that. So some things can be reduced, something cannot be. So the sensing elements, the sensing for condition monitoring, those can be reduced. Okay. So this book you can see, miniaturization. This book is there. It's a wonderful book. Please try to read it. It will give you very good interest in the subject. Always I said, when you read a subject, please take that reference book and read the introduction. That makes life interesting. Okay. So what Richard Freeman did was, can we manipulate the matter on an atomic scale? Smaller the size, can we manipulate it? ICs used to be very big in those days, diode type and all that, big integrated circuits, as big as rooms and halls. So that gradually reduced. Then microscope, can we see molecules and atoms and manipulate them? How do you manipulate molecules and atoms? Unless you see them, you cannot manipulate. See, I can manipulate my mouse in the computer, I can manipulate my vehicle, I can have a video game, I can play with this thing, I can control a small aircraft. But what I cannot see, how can I manipulate? That is why the discovery of scanning tunnel microscope, atomic force microscope, SEM and all that, those created by IBM, those helped in at least seeing the atoms and molecules, which could be manipulated. Unless you see them somehow, if I don't see them, how will I manipulate it? So using microscopes, you can see them and then manipulate it. And an example of nanoscale machines, what Feynman was talking about. This is fiction. Please understand, this is fiction. Okay, this is a novel of Clive Cussler. Okay, I don't know whether it is possible or not. Just think about it. You want to dig a tunnel 19 kilometers long in Antarctica iceberg. So 19 kilometers iceberg, you have a nano machine with very high pressure that will drill, that will push in nanomolecules at very high speed. So that will keep on drilling, boring the iceberg inside. And as it bores, the nanomolecules are under so much pressure, radially they expand, they blow up the tunnel, they expand the hole, and the holes build up. And as the molecular machines are pushed one by one, they keep going in the horizontal direction, and 19 kilometers distance you get, and by the pressure, you get the radial expansion of the hole into a tunnel. So this is how the nanoscale molecular machines can be done. That is fiction, but now it may become a reality. This was written many years back, this novel. So this could become a reality. So nanomolecules are like machines that arrange the atoms the way we want, and the chemical synthesis by you're mechanically manipulating them, you're moving them. That is why he says it's without moving them, how will you drill? You have to move to drill a tunnel, isn't it? And they said swallowing the doctor. Okay, that's what he said. The possibility of swallowing the doctor. That means doctors giving big size pills and all. Smaller size means everything is smaller, tiny swallow, surgical robo. Even you can swallow that robo, it will go inside your body and do all your things, it will sort out and come out. Okay, that's what he was concept. Albert Gibbs, this is what is. These are all concepts which are now being conceptualized. They are coming into this thing. Okay. This another thing. You any of you have seen watch manufacturing? Hello. Before we close, hello. Still time is there. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Watch. Okay. So just you're not seen, but just imagine the big lathes which you have in the workshop. You reduce it to your very small size, not micro size. Let us say your hand, if you enclose, you can hold that lathe with your hand. Very small lathes are there, which are still being used many years back to make these small watch components. So some of you might have seen that. So this is what he said, that we can build the manipulator hands 1/4 scale, build it so small, analogous to the machine shop, and then small hands could be used and built to operate tens and sets of 1/16 scale hands. So small factories you can have. Watches are not the micro factories, but you can say the factories or the centimeter factories. Like that, you can have smaller size factories. Okay. The operator's hands cannot be small, but there are people with small hands, right? We're not talking of child labor. What I'm saying is some people have very big hands, some people have small hands. There are people with small hands, some people are there. Those people can operate this. You don't need large, stout people to. Big machines, you need very fit people. So some human beings have small hands. It may not be deformity, but natural also. So they can operate such small factories. That's what he was telling. Okay, so this is the idea what Richard Feynman thought of. This video you please see. It'll be very interesting. Okay, then another 2 minutes we'll take for the syllabus and then we'll close. And what are the issues in this? That means the smaller the size, manipulation is more, movement is more. dynamics is more, vibration is more. That means what is the meaning of that? The inertia is less. So gravity effect will be less. The heavier the thing, gravity will affect its movement. The larger the inertia, gravity is affecting it. The molecular forces come into effect, van der Waals forces. Surface tension, capillarity will dominate when compared to inertia, what you have done in fluid mechanics. In fluid mechanics, we say inertia forces will dominate. 100 liters, 1000 liters I want to pump per minute. Surface tension, capillarity will not be there because that liquid sticking to the pipe will just be blown away by the large amount of water or liquid. Whereas the smaller the size, the diameter of the pipe is smaller, not the length. When I say the size is the cross section, always remember, any component we talk of, it is not the length. The length can be in centimeters, meters also. But it is the cross section, that idea of the pipe through which the liquid flows. That is in microns. So their surface tension, capillarity will dominate. So these are the important things which advantage is being taken in MEMS. So then this is more. Therefore, I can use it for the applications where these are needed. Whatever dominates when we scale down the component size, whatever effects dominate, we use that. In macro level, whatever dominates, gravity will be more, van der Waals will be less, surface tension, capillarity will be low, other effects will be more. So use that for large scale application. Like you're drinking soft drink in your straw, you're using this capillarity effect, very small straw. Do you have big size straws? You have very small straws. So there your capillarity effect will be more. You're sucking in the liquid. So that effects are more. So you even in your regular day-to-day life, you know that these effects will dominate. So whatever dominates when the size is low, that application you correspond to. Whatever dominates when the size is large, that application use it for. That's the idea. Okay. Now we'll just go to these. Okay, this we'll see later. First we'll go to the syllabus. So can you see the slide? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Syllabus
sir.
can. Yeah. Okay. So there are no prerequisites for that. Okay. There are no prerequisites for that. Okay. That means there's no basic condition, but you've done your 10th and 12th, you've done physics, right? You've done heat transfer, you've done fluid mechanics. Okay. Electrical, some basics you will know. So whatever basics you have of physics, chemistry, maths, and those people who have done biology also, that all four basics if are fairly good enough, you can study this subject. That's what it means by prerequisite. That means in your 10th and 12th basics, you must not forget. Okay, so what are the objectives of this? That means the fundamentals of MEMS and microsystems we learn. Then materials, fabrication. Obviously, once we know what is MEMS, what is microsystem, why do we need it industry? Why are we studying this? What is happening to the world around us? Everything is small, everything is autonomous. Okay, everything is automatic. And health is very important because everything becomes automatic, autonomous. So condition monitoring, health monitoring becomes more relevant. So what are the materials? What are the fabrications? What are the sensors? What are the actuators? What are the components of microfluidics? Then what are the challenges? Obviously, when you reduce the size, when you try to make it very your IC, electronic IC fabrication methods, so challenges are there, limitations are there. So these are the course objectives. Outcomes are this. Scaling, what happens? What are the fabrication methods? What material? Always in a manufacturing process. What you should remember is your materials. Always I say any area of engineering or technology, the topmost peak of the pyramid. Just imagine that great pyramid, there's a very equilateral triangle like that. The top of the pyramid is materials. If I don't know what material I have to use, I'll not be able to know about the shape, I'll not be able to know about the function, I'll not be able to know about the strength, I'll not be able to know about the application. Okay, then what are the principles involved? Because you're in the domain, physical, chemical, biological, engineering principles involved. Because the domains are interdisciplinary, it is no longer only mechanical. Then technology for feasibility, practical. That means, is it practical? Is it feasible? And what are the advantages and challenges? These are the 5 things which will describe the MEMS system. If you know this, and if you have the facility for fabrication, it's very good for you. So the first unit, The course objective is 5. Okay, the course is 5 because it is the entire thing it covers. This is what are the challenges, what are the characteristics, what uses. You can think of some future uses also. So therefore, this introduction, the laws and applications of MEMS. What are the laws? What laws? The basic laws which are applicable are all the laws which are studied in engineering, in fluid mechanics, in electrical, in structural, strength of materials, in thermal, okay, in physics. All the basic laws in the macro level are applicable here. That means the laws of continuum physics are applicable here. Okay, so you don't have to change, but when you go to nano level, the laws change. But the basic laws which are studied for or going to study in all the various subjects will be applicable here. So same laws are applicable. That's another advantage of MEMS systems. When you scale it down, when you reduce the size, what happens? Okay, that is one. Then naturally next is scaling and then materials for that. What happens to the material? What can use the same materials which are used in macro level, or can use different materials? Why different materials? Why silicon? Why germanium? Why arsenic? Why semiconductors? Some reason for that. What are the methods? Same methods used in IC fabrication. Course objective 2, module 4. Okay, LIGAS. Why light is used? Then the components, microsensors, microactuators in different domains of engineering. Okay, all different domains are there, different types of sensors. Microfluidics, course objective 3. What is a microfluidic device? Or what is a fluid? A gas and a liquid. Okay, so what are the basic components, the flows, the principles, what will be dominant, what will not be dominant? Then case studies, different types of application. Gas sensors, accelerometers, visually impaired. Okay, development of thin film layers. Contemporary issues means at present, what are the issues there? Okay, like that. And the book which is available in our library, online also it's available. Tyran Sui, MEMS and Microsystems. So you can use the online facility in our library to read this, get this book. This is the best book, Tyran Sui, MEMS and Microsystems. Other books you can refer, but basic book is this, and other notes, everything I'll give you. I'll send you through my Yahoo Mail. Okay. Other books for fabrication and all. And if we can make some MEMS devices, it will be very good. Okay. So MEMS and Microsystems by Tyran Sui. The latest edition you can see, the book is very good. Okay. And why you are reading this subject, another reason I tell you is because this covers all domains of not only mechanical engineering, bit of chemistry, bit of biology also. And in essence, the subjects what you're going to read, the other subjects, will also be covered here briefly. So its advantage is as good as learning all your subjects in mechanical, biological, chemical to some extent, electrical also. So you become you're no longer an engineer, you're a scientist, you're a physicist, you're a chemist, you're a mathematician. Physics, chemistry, maths, and biology. All four together, you become an expert. You are basically now a science student reading this subject. So you know many domains in this technology. That's a big advantage because it should be intradisciplinary. Okay, so that is why, or interdisciplinary, whatever. Intra or inter, whatever. So that is why this subject is very useful to you. Always remember, sensing should be as small as possible, accurate, and health conditioning. I want to know the health of machinery and people. So what affects it? That can be done using MEMS. This is the idea. Nowadays, this is what you need. In all industries, this is needed. Oh, any doubts you have? Anything you have? Doubts you have? Hello? Hello? Nilopal Mukherjee, any doubts? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So what I'll do is I'll take the attendance now and then you can give. And I would like to tell you, next class onwards, I'll try to take the attendance at about 10 to 15 minutes after the class so that we can cover more portions. Since this is the first class, we can do. Otherwise, what happens is the last moment looking for attendance becomes a problem. So let us say the class starts at 10 o'clock. 10:15, all of you should be in. 10:15, I'll take the attendance. It will not take much time. Okay. Is it okay, all of you? You agree with that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine.
Okay,
Fine.
sir.
Okay, so I'll send you this material today by mail, that Yahoo mail which I'm sending, because the memory will be more. So through that I'll send it. Okay, whatever possible in VTOP also I'll put. Okay, right. Okay, anything else? Anybody else has any doubts?
No, sir.
No, okay, okay. Shall we close? Okay, yeah, okay, okay. We'll close now. Okay, we'll close now. Hello? Hello?
Okay, sir.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay, sir.
Thank
Fine,
you, sir.
fine. Okay, okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay, fine.